You're here, huh? Then you can die too.
You gotta be cold, you gotta be a killer.
Be real to pretend to be, fiction's the enemy. Message to the industry, prepare for anarchy, prepare for revolution. Brothers, let's mutiny, sisters join the rebellion. Industry anarchy, be real to pretend to be, fiction's the enemy. Message to the industry, prepare for anarchy, prepare for revolution. Brothers, let's mutiny, sisters join the rebellion. Industry anarchy, stand tall, stand proud. My nigga, you know what's going down. Smoking aloud, rocking the crowd, murk a nigga that running their mouth. What I'm about, what he about, what we about, evolving rap, bring it back. Fuck the gats, we targeting the hardest cat. Who you is, what you rep, hit the nigga that overstep.
All right, we made it, everybody. We are here at the final episode of WandaVision. Hell yeah. How many questions have been answered? What new questions have come up? Were any of my theories right? A couple were, but even more were wrong. Oh, man. Let's talk about it.
I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Real talk.
All right, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Token Drew. And today on Drew's Reviews, we are going over episode 9 of WandaVision, the series finale. And damn, what a journey this has been. You know, first off, I want to thank everybody who's watched week in and week out, watched these videos with me, commented, had a good time. You know, it was really cool doing this. It's really cool having something to do other than unboxings, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest, I'm not really looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I'm going to review it anyway, you know. See it from a non-reader perspective because I don't read Winter Soldier comics, and I've never read a comic centered around Falcon. I don't even know if he had his own comic line, to be honest with you. So we're going to see how this turns out when that happens. But we're not talking about the future. We are talking about what we just saw. And damn, what a great season finale in my personal opinion. But it wasn't perfect. Not at all. Not at all. So let me go on ahead and throw up that obligatory spoiler warning, because we're not wasting time. This was a long episode. So the episode starts off right where the last episode ended, with Agatha holding Wanda's kids hostage. And we go right into the action. And that's what's really dope, you know. We see that Wanda is blasting Agatha with her magic once she relinquishes the kids. And Agatha is absorbing Wanda's magic. And while she's doing that, it's making Wanda's hands turn a little bit black. And you can see what's going to be happening to her, similar to those witches at the beginning of, what was it, episode 7? Episode 8. We saw what happened at the beginning of the last episode with Agatha and the witches. It's revealed that Agatha wants Wanda's power because she feels Wanda's undeserving of it. Similar to what I talked about, how Doctor Strange in the comic said that, you know, these powers were making Wanda go insane because she was born with them. She didn't learn them. White Vision appears. I really like the design of him. The all-white design with the blue and everything like that, I think is really dope. He comes and he starts attacking Wanda. Wanda is caught off guard, and he starts squeezing her head. But the real Vision comes. So we have our Vision versus Vision extravaganza in the first 5 minutes. So they're battling. Billy and Tommy go into the house because they want to help their mom, but their mom's like, no, you need to go. So they go. We see some scenes that were in the trailers, such as Vision and Wanda talking about, you know, this is our home, then let's fight for it, and shit like that. So Wanda flies off and has a really cool transitional shot going into the window where at Agatha's house, you see Pietro has Monica captured. Now, Pietro knocks her down using his super speed and keeps her in place and everything like that, but it's still kind of fun going back and forth between them. And we cut back into the action. The action moves to the center of town where Wanda is trying to find Agatha, and you see, you know, the townspeople walking around in their modern garb. Agatha reappears in front of a billboard that says something about squeaky clean, which is interesting because no one here is clean for anything. And she summons the Darkhold, so we have confirmation that that book we saw a couple episodes ago for the first time was the Darkhold. And it's different from the Darkhold that was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So The people online are saying, oh, I guess that means Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are not canon. But if you know me by now, I don't give a shit about canon. Stupid argument. Agatha goes on to say that the Scarlet Witch is forged, not born. And if you think about it, that perfectly describes Wanda's abilities because she was forged using the Mind Stone in that Hydra facility. Agatha goes on to say that the Scarlet Witch needs no enchantments and no witch clan. And that's more of Wanda because Wanda has never cast any spells. She even argues to Agatha, I am not a witch. I do not cast spells. So she doesn't even know. And then we get the only mention of Doctor Strange in the whole episode where Agatha says, your power exceeds the Sorcerer Supreme. Because see, the Darkhold had a whole chapter devoted to the Scarlet Witch. And in that you see like these cool pictures of this being that looks like, the Scarlet Witch with the headdress and everything like that. And then on the other page you see what looks like a bunch of circles. So it could be like merging realities because you see the Scarlet Witch is a Nexus being. And we already discussed what the Nexus beings are last episode. But it says that her destiny is to destroy the world. Which means, like I called, they're painting Wanda to be a villain. And they're going to have more callbacks to that later on. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. So we cut to where Monica is being held by Pietro. She's looking over these papers and she sees the name Ralph Boner on an electric bill. And on that bill, you actually see that the electric bill goes all the way back to January and then shoots up in around October, which means that could be where this is taking place. But it also means that Ralph is not Jimmy Woo's missing person, which some people have theorized. I never theorized that shit. At least, maybe I did. But it turns out that Monica picks up a headshot of Evan Peters, and at the bottom it says Ralph Boner. So she's like, you're Ralph Boner? And Pietro turns around and he's like, ha, Boner. Oh, you want to scuffle? And then she flips him down, and using her eyes, she can see the energy that's going around this necklace that he's wearing. So she tears it off, and he's like, oh no, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. Showing that who we thought was Pietro, who I thought was Pietro, which means I was wrong, turned out to be this Ralph Boner guy, who Ralph is who Agnes has been mentioning since episode 1. Oh, my husband Ralph, you wouldn't remember our anniversary unless June 2nd was the beer, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So it turns out that the Ralph that Agnes has been referencing this entire time is this kid, this aspiring actor. That's whose house it is. And she made him think he was Quicksilver. And then Wanda filled in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? So that was disappointing. That was like trolling. But at the same time, it was still cool. Whatever. When we go back to Wanda and Agatha in the town square, Agatha lifts the spell off of all of the people. And so they start to surround Wanda, and they're like, pretty much free me. This is who I am. Please, or tell my husband not to come here. My name is this and that, including Dottie, who people thought Dottie was a witch, but she was really some Sarah chick. You know what I'm saying? So they all start to surround Wanda, and then Wanda starts to freak out, and she's like, stop, and causes all of them to choke and fall to the ground. And Agatha is like, heroes don't do this shit. Heroes don't torture people. So Wanda uses her powers to start to open the hex up. On the outside of the hex, Hayward sees this and he's like, yo, it's time. Move. It's time to go. So the military starts to go inside where the hex is opening up. The people are trying to run away while Wanda is doing this. The whole time Agatha's watching. So you're still getting this kind of feeling. I still don't feel like Agatha's necessarily evil. She just wants that power that she feels that Wanda does not deserve. She's envious. She's jealous. Vision and the kids show up. And they're starting to break up into those weird Tetris-y Lego looking things that we saw both when Wanda was forming the house. It was forming in these Lego Tetris-y shapes an episode ago when we went through her flashbacks. And also when we look way back and when they made the House of M comic book by Joe Quesada, that's what the effects was. Like on the cover, it had her breaking away in that Lego particle effect. And also in the comic, when Billy killed Hawkeye and made him vanish, he broke away into that. So that was a cool callback. And when Wanda saw that happening, she stopped breaking the hex to save her family. And then they get into this cool, incredible style pose where you have Vision and Wanda, Billy and Tommy all ready to go ham. And White Vision shows back up, and then you see Agatha, and then you see the military. And Wanda's like, boys, handle the military. And that's really fun because Tommy shoots off and goes super fast, and he ends up like taking one of their hats. And Billy, he has him frozen in place. Vision and Vision go off to fight, and then Wanda flies up and then does a little taunting teleport thing and appears behind Agatha and does her shit from Avengers Age of Ultron. The thing I liked where she walks all jerky like a scary movie and makes Agatha goes inside her head, you know what I'm saying? Meaning like doing like some kind of a, I don't know, like a mind trick or some kind of a hex or a spell or something like that to make her relive her worst memory, which was back when she killed her coven. Wanda, of course, thinks she has the upper hand, but it turns out that the corpses of those other witches rise up and turn on her, saying, you know, you are the Scarlet Witch, you are the Scarlet Witch, harbinger of doom and chaos, and they put her on the pole instead of Agatha. And that's when you see her awesome red crown start to form. And I was like, oh, this is dope. Meanwhile, Vision and Vision are fighting in the library. They stop fighting because Hex Vision and White Vision end up conversing, with them just both being AIs and both being the same individual. And they use the theory of the ship of Theseus, or Theseus, I want to say. And they go into a whole lot of detail, but just to paraphrase it, pretty much the ship of Theseus, I can't remember. I'm saying it wrong as hell over here. So the thing is like this old ship in a museum. If you were to replace all those planks with new planks, is it still the ship of Theseus? And alternatively, if you were to restore the old planks and rebuild it, would that be the ship of Theseus? And it turns out that neither are the true ship. They both are the true ship. And then Hex Vision unlocks White Vision's memories, so that way he can remember everything. And he flashes back to pretty much everything that Vision has been in the MCU, from when he was Jarvis to all the events from Age of Ultron to the events of Infinity War, all that. And his eyes turn back to normal, and then he's like, I am Vision. And he like, I don't know, he just goes and off somewhere. It's kind of weird. He just flies away. Paul Bettany, he trolled all of us. And it's that level of trolling, honestly, I mean, there's one thing to stoke the fires, but I mean, because he said he's working with somebody who he's always looked up to and blah, 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 blah. So, of course, it had all the nerds theorizing who it was. The channel Heavy Spoilers correctly theorized that Paul Bettany was talking about himself, you know. And it's, you know, they were trolling the audience hella hard, you know what I'm saying? Like with the Paul Bettany revealing that he's working with himself, to Evan Peters playing Quicksilver but not, you know, being a Pietro. They trolled us hard with this. And I kind of feel like now with their next shows, what I'm going to watch, I'm going to be very skeptical because, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Wanda and Agnes are fighting up in the air. And she's like, you want my power, take it. And Wanda starts blasting her power, these red energy balls, at Agnes, who was absorbing it. But she's like hitting her with one and missing her with another. Turns out that what she was doing when she was missing them is casting runes along the walls of the hex. Because remember, Agatha in the last episode said runes, you know, only a witch who casts the runes can use those spells in that confined space. And then, oh man, we see the amazing event of Wanda absorbing all of her power back, as well as Agnes's power, as well as the powers that Agatha had absorbed from the Salem witch trials from 1693. All that energy, and you see like her red crown form and her new outfit form, and then she is here. She is here as the Scarlet Witch. And her costume looks freaking amazing. And like, it is comic accurate and then some. You know, you have the headpiece, you have her hair all long behind her, you have a dress, but then you have the cool designs that we do in our shit nowadays, you know what I mean? Because we had the traditional Scarlet Witch costume back in episode, what was it, 6, this Halloween Spooktacular or some shit like that. What Wanda ends up doing to Agatha is pretty much making her retain the persona as that nosy neighbor, Agnes, and saying that she'll know where to find her if she needs her. So I think we're going to see Katherine Han again, but I still think that she's going to be Agatha and not Agnes, because as the scene progresses, we see the hex shrinking. Also, another point I wanted to mention I forgot about is when Monica shows up and she's using her photon powers to protect Billy and Tommy because Hayward tries to shoot them because Hayward's a bastard. He wasn't anybody. He was just a dude. Like I did theorize. I did not think he was Mephisto or anybody. I'm just like, man, he's just a guy who's scared. So, he was just some dude. So that's 2 for me. Haha. And we see, more glimpses of Billy and Tommy's power. Well, Tommy just is fast, but Billy, we see him not only freeze the bullet, but previously in the episode, he is able to see into the future of his mom choking everybody before that scene had happened. That's why they had ran to the town and started to disintegrate. Monica, she tries to shield Billy and Tommy from getting shot by Hayward. And when the bullets go into her, they phase through and then they lose their momentum and fall behind her. Now, I've seen some people online saying, oh, blah, 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 Mary Sue, she's like Rey from Star Wars, just having all these powers. It's like, no, she's Photon. Like I said, and like we all were telling you, that's 3, that she's going to be Photon. And they even put up that video talking about the powers that she has. Now, it's kind of weird that she's able to turn into light and that slowed the bullets down. But they did what they did. Going to the end is sad because the hex is closing in on everything and changing everything back. But you know what that means because we just saw like 15 minutes ago in the episode. We know what that means. So when the family gets back to the house, Wanda and Vision change into their normal garb magically and they tuck the kids in. And then Wanda says something very weird along the lines while she's tucking the kids in. They're pretty much saying their goodbyes and it's very sad. She tells the kids, thank you for choosing me to be your mom. Which is interesting because we've seen that earlier, even as babies, her magic really did not affect them and they were able to age themselves. Not to mention, Pietro in the Halloween episode called them demon spawn, which made us think that they were the spawn of Mephisto. Which makes me think that these are beings from somewhere else, that they weren't necessarily created by Wanda because her magic had no effect on them. Just like how her magic had no effect on that stork. Then we go downstairs and as the hex is closing in, Wanda and Vision say their goodbyes. And I'm not going to paraphrase it because it's really beautiful, their conversation. So you need to watch the episode for yourself. And then it's all gone. The hex closes and everything's back to normal, which is interesting because Wanda's past self kind of references, when she's hiding underneath the rubble with her brother, referencing it was all a dream kind of episode. And it kind of sucks because it kind of does have that feeling of it was all a dream, but it really did not. You know what I'm saying? Like it really wasn't. But it still didn't matter at the end of the day because it all just vanished away. However, what's cool is that when Wanda's walking back through town, there are still the military vehicles. The people are still looking at her all f***ed up. Monica is not. And Monica even says they will never understand what you sacrificed for them. And Wanda's like, it doesn't matter. They still won't view me any differently. And then she goes and she flies off, turning back into her Scarlet Witch costume and flying off, showing that even though it had that it was all a dream kind of feeling of it, doesn't mean that it was because that shit really did happen. But it makes me wonder what happened to Agatha then. You know what I'm saying? Because when the hex went away, everything went back to normal. So was she still walking around in that Agnes, hiya neighbor, Oakley Dokley looking face, or is she back to normal? We saw that when she got transformed, she still had her brooch. So, I think she's going to show up later because she did a fantastic job, and I hope so. There are 2 end credit scenes. All right. The first one, we go back to the town, and Jimmy is assuming control and telling everyone to go here and there, blah, blah, blah. And this lady walks up and tells Monica that she's needed in the theater. She goes into the theater and the lady that brought her there transforms into a Skrull and saying that, him upstairs wants to see you. Some people thought they might be talking about Talon, but remember, this movie takes place 7 months before Far From Home. I think that they're talking about Nick Fury because right now Talon is on Earth as Nick Fury, while Nick Fury is up in space on the sword ship. So I think that's where she's going to go, and that's going to lead into the Miss Marvel. I don't know if it's going to be a movie or a show with Kamala Khan. And then we have Captain Marvel 2, which Photon should arrive in again. Then we go on with some more credits, and we go to the next end credit scene that has this is all a single shot. Remember this, all right? This end credit scene is one single shot, very similar to Evil Dead. And in this end credit scene, we see Wanda, and it's like over some mountains. We see a flash of sunlight, but the flash of light is like yellow, you know. And of course, we're like, hey, what could that be? I think that, honestly, I think that was a glimmer of magic, not just sunlight, but, you know. The camera goes and we go to this cabin, the secluded cabin, and we see Wanda sitting outside drinking some coffee or some shit. She goes inside and she bare hand grabs a tea kettle to pour the hot whatever into this cup. But the camera keeps on going into this other room and we see Wanda again floating in the air, reading from the Darkhold, having her hands in some really, really interesting manner with red balls circling around her. The music playing is actually a variation of the Doctor Strange theme. I'm not going to play it because I get enough copyright strikes as it is, so to hell with all that. And then we hear Billy and Tommy's voice saying, "Mom, Mom, help." And Wanda closes the book and a big flash of red light happens and you look inside her eyes and you see like in each red eye you see like two white lights looking like eyes or something like that, and then the series ends. And there we have it. That was it. So as far as the episode is concerned, I do feel like the last episode, the previous one where we went through her timeline, was better narrative wise. So, but for this one, it was great action, but I'm going to give it an A. It was a solid season finale. Some of the reveals were a bit let down, you know, like they were trolling us even though we were so invested, you know, and like I kind of, part of it's like haha, fun trolling, other of it's kind of like, all right, why would you do this, man? Marvel did reveal that they are going to introduce the X-Men in a movie called The Mutants. So we're going to have that at least, but I was disappointed that Doctor Strange didn't show up. You kind of think that, you know, with something to this magnitude happening, this kind of magical reality altering shit happening, he would show up to at least get debriefed or pop up somewhere and be like, you know, Wanda, what did you do? Or something like that. But that was a bit disappointing. It was still a great episode though. You know, it had great acting, great action. It really did feel like a Marvel movie these past couple episodes. However, I do have some questions, such as whatever happened to the beekeeper? He was heavily featured in trailers and he just vanished. Who was Jimmy Woo's guy in Witness Protection? I think it might have been Dan the mailman personally. Because, I mean, just look at his face, look at him saying, "Don't shoot, I'm just the messenger." Feels very hiding from the mob kind of thing. And he just kind of looks like he could have been, I mean, I'm sorry to the actor, but he just kind of looks like he's the kind of person who would be in Witness Protection. My bad. I mean, you just look like that. What am I supposed to do? You got cast for a reason, dude. Off. Where did White Vision off to? He just kind of vanished on us. He flew away and that was it. So that was kind of weird. I already asked what happened to Agnes. And finally, where did the boys come from? You know, so these are all questions that I have now. But I feel like I'm going to watch the whole series again. Next Monday, I want to do a live discussion. I'm going to have a couple people on just talking about the show and just theorizing what the future of the MCU is going to be. This Friday, there's not going to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I believe it starts next Friday. Then we're going to have X amount of weeks of that. And then in June, we're going to have the Loki show, which, you know, these cosmic entities could still show up. Them setting Wanda up to be a villain, the way she was reading the Darkhold at the end, I called that from the beginning. Real talk. Multiverse of Madness, we know that she's going to be in that as Scarlet Witch. I think that they revealed that she was also going to be in the new Spider-Man movie. So either she's going to be the big bad or she's going to be the reason for a big bad coming through. I just want to see these consequences play out to something because remember, we heard in the Doctor Strange movie that Earth was going to be compromised now because of the way they used the Time Stone. We heard in Endgame that removing the Infinity Stones were going to cause bad things to happen. And literally that's what Thanos did in that timeline when he destroyed those Infinity Stones. And then all this shit with Wanda. So I think we got some cool, I'm starting to get slowly excited for phase 4. You know, at first I wasn't giving a shit about it, but now I'm excited. I'm also going to be reviewing the Mortal Kombat movies leading up to the Mortal Kombat movie coming out here soon. We have Godzilla vs. Kong coming out at the end of this month. I'm really excited about that one, which I theorize that Godzilla is going to win, but we'll see. But until then, I'm your boy, Token Drew. Live up, smoke out, game on. I'm out this bitch. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Till next time, everybody.
Real talk, we similar. I hustle, you hustle. I rise, you rise. I struggle and you struggle. Is my shit so different? Cause I talk like I'm educated. My struggle ain't the same cause I wait the tables. Y'all fuckers every stage exaggerate and say I ain't real cause I ain't a felon. I'm the one buying drugs that you selling. You hustling for a living, but I'm buying cause my pockets overzealous. Yeah, it might be nice, have a dime wife, girl by my side no matter the dark time. Got a top fan before the limelight. I ain't really winning, but I'm doing alright. Me and my son had a conversation while TMNT playing on the PlayStation about him going up to be a Power Ranger. Said you can do it, boy, you'll be the greatest. Show up to work, I'm laser faded. Working at dicks, I'm addicted to tables. My left eye glowing like my name is Cable. I'm Drew the legend, not Drew the fable. Got no time for lies, time for games. Stretching the story and making myths. My life a team of LeBrons and Kobe's. I'm a no-name player getting no assists. Then I got the balls, my time to shine. So I'ma dunk the truth on your lying ass. Yo, image a bitch on my ears I stab with a joke and laugh.